Good morning and welcome to My Left Ear. I'm Carrie Freeman and this is video 112. Can't quite believe it. Wednesday, August 17th. I've been away for a few days. My foot's doing better and I am back. This is, if you've never been here before, this is a liberal YouTube channel where I do talk about politics. I do the runes. I ask the runes questions about the politics. The runes are oracle stones that I've been doing for over 20 years. And they read a little bit like the tarot. I just don't do them on camera because it's too lengthy. So I do them in advance and then share them with you. What do I do when I'm not doing this? I call myself a change agent. I do therapy. I do therapeutic hypnosis to help people make changes, get out of habits, get some confidence and strength going. And then I do psychic coaching, and sometimes I combine the two. The psychic coaching, people are getting a lot of value out of it, direction, evidence, things happening, and I have good stories about that. So you can contact me and you can know about my 2 books. You can know about my Patreon channel, which I'm going to do a Patreon tomorrow, in the description below and in the community above. So you can find me and I can send you a cheat sheet of my services and charges if you like. Now we're going to get started here. This is for entertainment purposes only for YouTube. And one last housekeeping thing. It came to my attention the other day, someone who hired me for the psychic coaching had been watching me but wasn't a subscriber. I don't remember how it came up. And then when I watch my favorite astrology tarot, which is Zane, Intuitive Guidance, he's brilliant, Z-A-N-E, I love this guy, he's really gifted. He makes a point, he's got a zillion followers. I mean, this guy is wildly successful. And he actually says, I know some of you who come back and watch over and over are actually not subscribed, and you would help me if you hit the subscribe button. And then I found out that's true. So if you do come by and visit, it would help me, and it doesn't cost a thing. So please subscribe. All right, we're going to start with the obvious, which is Liz Cheney did not win the midterm primary last night. It was expected that she would not. The digits were enormous in terms of the space between her and her opponent, a very loopy MAGA woman that looks like she's out of Ryan Murphy's, horror show. I mean, she's really bizarre, but so be it. This just means Liz has got a great second act, and I believe she knows it. We don't have to worry about her. Now, I want you to know, and it's going to be like, oh, I'm bragging, but I really am proud of this. I think 8-9 months ago, I put it on Twitter. I said, Liz Cheney's probably going to run for president. And this was before the committee. So she really may. But she does have a good second act. And I'm going to do runes for her not right away, since the loss was just last night. She continues with the committee, and she's really pretty much making it her mission to make sure that Donald Trump can never hold office again. This is her big, and I think it's a very worthy choice. And you know what? I don't agree with so many things, and I wish the woman would be pro-choice and hold on to her own beliefs, but allow women to make their decisions, and she's not yet. And that's my thing, one of my things about Liz. Anyway, I admire her. She's doing a great job. This committee, I don't think, would be as successful without Liz Cheney. And I think there's some things to be learned from her. Her focus, her grit, her focus and her grit and her belief. And she's going to go down in history that she did not play to the pawns. She stayed true to her values, and she will be lauded for that for the rest of her life, and she knows it. It's good. I'm not worried about Liz. And I think maybe this is a good thing. Now I want to go on to this thing that everybody's been reading and hearing about, because the warrants on Mar-a-Lago, it was not a raid, it was a search legally, every box checked perfectly for the search. But now they're talking what they feel Trump has done, and there's a lot more to come out. It falls under the Espionage Act. So when we hear the Espionage Act, we go, whoa, spy, traitor, but not necessarily. It's still bad, though. So I listened very carefully to Neil Katyal, who you probably know, he's on MSNBC almost every day now, and he's just a wonderful guy. There's a couple of these really esteemed attorneys that are just brilliant, wonderful to listen to. There's so much to learn, because a lot of them are professors. All right, so Espionage Act. So there's number 1, number 2, number 3 possibilities. I'm just gonna rattle these off, because you know I like to share information. I do have runes, though. I have runes. So number 1 is removing documents, I call them docs, from White House archives, and failure to return those docs, those boxes, is a 10-year minimum sentence. Number 2, concealment, removal, or mutilating defense material. That person who's found guilty of that cannot run for office, ever. All right? And then number 3, altering, falsifying, destruction of records in an active federal investigation. And then that is probable cause for a warrant. Really serious stuff. Neil Katyal said the other night, the FBI has found top secret materials. I guess this was in the New York Times. And he said Trump has something to hide. And I would say, no blank, Sherlock. Someone laughed when I said that. I think it's such an old saying. So here we go. A little bit more. I'm gonna share with you the first rune that I did. All right. So I asked the runes, and this was very, very specific. Okay, did it on purpose. Will Trump be charged, indicted before the midterms, the midterm deadline? So this is so interesting. The first rune I got is it's just mysterious. It's the blank rune, and it's called unknowable. All right, that is blank, and the other side is blank. So, you know, it's very mysterious. So that means blank is the end, and blank is the beginning. Now, I could stop right there, because I think, well, he really is, you know, going to go down. Don't know about cells, and I'll tell you in a minute. That's another question. Sorry, I got confused for a minute. Will Trump be charged, indicted before midterm deadline? All right, so blank is the end, blank is the beginning. It's a rune of total trust, and it's immediate contact with his own true destiny. Several times in Ralph Blum's book, it says this is the path of karma. It can portend a death, which could be symbolic, but is the end of a way of life. All right? I think we're getting our answer here. It's about relinquishing control. That's the challenge. Can you imagine suggesting that to Trump? Just relinquish the control when his whole life is about control. And it's when our deepest fears surface, but in this I wrote his deepest fears. It is the path of karma. All right, so the second rune I got here was the rune of opening, upright. Actually, I think when you look at it, it's, you know, it's always weird when Anyway, it's in the upright position. It's not in the reversed position. So very simply, it's the rune of opening and renewed clarity, of dispelling the darkness that has been shrouding some part of his life. And that would be the truth in the courtroom. That's it. And then Berkana, the rune of growth, may sound like really positive, like for him, but it's all within context. That's why I interpret. So Berkana is concerned with the flow of beings into their new form. Okay? New form. Trump's new form, which is a felon at the very least. And any dark corners should be cleansed. This is, he's gonna get indicted. I think I didn't get any real obstacles here, and because I put before the midterm deadline, and so I think there's a very good chance this will come down before the midterm deadline. Okay, that's where we're going to go with that one. All right, now I did a part 2, which I got confused about for a second there. I asked, and this is the one I did very specifically. Will Trump see the inside of a prison cell? I wrote, my left ear answered that after looking at this, and the answer was, he will be punished, he will be guilty, but no prison cell. But don't get upset about that, because he's going to suffer. He's going to pay some consequences. And we don't know, or maybe I just say I don't know, if he's going to survive physically on the earth plane in time for all of this to see it through. My left ear keeps feeling like he may just drop one day. But that remains to be seen, and I didn't pull the rune for it. I'm just sharing that with you. So will Trump see the inside of a prison cell? The next rune is opening again. It's very strange. It came up again. 2 runes came up again. Opening, this is the rune of renewed clarity, dispelling the darkness that has been shrouding some part of your life. That would be the cover-ups. In one aspect, he is very limited and dependent. He's losing his power. He's losing his control. Then I got Berkana. Berkana is, that's Berkana. Again, I got it again. Growth. And it's about the flow of beings into a new form. So if he's found guilty, or when he's found guilty, his life takes on a new form. And it advises to disperse resistance. But Donald Trump doesn't know about resistance. He only knows about fighting and winning. So that'll never happen. And he will never admit that he's guilty of anything. Very unlikely. I don't think, if they waterboarded Donald Trump, I still don't think he would admit anything. He's going to take this to his grave. It was a lie. It was a setup. I'm innocent. All this stuff. So it's when it says clean out dark corners, that's what the trial will be exposing, and they need to be cleansed. And the trial is going to help that, because there's no getting away from that. And then separation reversed. So now is not the time to be bound by old conditioning. Change course, Donald Trump. Get new material, Donald Trump. Change your material, because you're just doing the same material all the time. And Rune says, consider what will benefit you, but also how it will benefit others. He wouldn't do that. He doesn't care about benefiting others. And it says, you may be called upon to undertake a radical departure from the old ways. Boom. You get it? And radical honesty is called for here. No, there won't be any radical honesty from him. So there is logistical issues I'm intuiting about taking an ex-president and putting him into a prison. So something creative will have to happen. But he's not bouncing back. These are his dark days. These are his dwindling days. And he's doing a big, loud, primal scream. That just came out of me. Before he goes down, like the song Timber. I love that song. Keisha and wonderful guy from Florida, I can't think of his name. You know who he is. Timber. I like it. It's a fun song. I just had a thought that, Donald Trump's age, and you can see he's not healthy. There's certain words he can't pronounce. Sometimes he appears better than others. But I think whatever's going on, whatever problems are going on in his brain, like literally, biologically, he has trouble processing what's really happening. It's just a my left ear thing. So I want to say something that people could get easily confused. And like I told you, I'm not an attorney, but I study, I listen, I write notes. That a warrant and an affidavit are very different. So the affidavit is a big, hairy, usually fairly long document, and it tells everything. It tells the judge everything and why they want access via a warrant to Mar-a-Lago. So there's the information has the name of the informant. It has information that the GOP or Trump should not have, because this is an ongoing investigation. So the affidavit then allows the judge to say, yes, here's a warrant. I'm signing off on a warrant, okay? And I heard a journalist and a writer named Peter Wenner, W-A-E-H-N-E-R, from The Atlantic. And he said what I think, and I agree with him, that when you're thinking, how do we get out of this? How do we get out of this? And there really is only one way. We have to win the elections. We have to crush these opponents. And, the opponents are extremists. They're nutty. I have a little something about them. But the only way out is to win. And it won't happen overnight either. Little Petey hair. And did you know that Trump attempted to extort Merrick Garland? I'm using the word extort because I feel very confident about it, okay? So let me just read this to you. It's amazing, amazing. But it just shows you that Trump cannot alter, change, or adjust. He's just doing the same old mob stuff. So here's the report, very short here. A person close to Trump reached out to a DOJ official last Thursday to pass along a cryptic message from Trump to Garland. Trump wanted Garland to know he had been checking with people around the country and found them to be enraged by the search of Mar-a-Lago, according to the New York Times. So Trump wanted to tell AG Garland that people around the U.S. were enraged by the FBI. He wrote, "The country's on fire. What can I do to reduce the heat? ? Quotation. They was saying, like, if you work with me, I'll tap down the outrage. Threatening him. So several people took to social media to interpret Trump's words as veiled threat. I did, and other people did too. Some people are afraid to characterize it, but I'm not afraid to characterize it because nobody pays me. And this is fun. 2 fun little things that'll make you feel good. The right-wing media was promoting a pro-Trump, that's hard to say, pro-Trump protest at the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., and I think that was yesterday. But the event was a massive flop because 0 people showed up. Okay? 0 people showed up. Now, this is also fun and telling. The RNC, Republican National Committee, has pulled back on fundraising funds for various candidates for the midterms. That would be Oz, Mastriano, and others, because they don't want to flood money into campaigns that are losing. Plus, their funds are not as good. Their fundraising has not been as good, the GOP. So that's a weakening, and I wanted to share it with you. You all probably know that Lindsey Graham is being piled into the Georgia inquiry into voter obstruction, fraudulence, coercion, and Lindsey has been trying to get out of his subpoena to appear in the Georgia court, and he keeps going to judges and going to judges. So the latest is a federal judge has denied Lindsey an attempt to squash his Fulton County grand jury subpoena. The court finds that the district attorney has shown extraordinary circumstances and a special need for Senator Graham's testimony. And I will tell you that he can choose to get up there and claim the fifth, because he knows a lot. But then if there's a situation where then he, like if he went, I don't know. I don't want to say something that's not correct, so I'm going to be careful here and do a little more research. But just know he may not answer the questions, and he may choose the fifth, which we know is pretty much an admission of guilt. They're going to get Lindsey. Lindsey is like part of that song Timber, okay? Timber. I may post that song on my community because it's Timber, you're going down. It makes you want to get up and dance. You know, I have to do a deep dive into Ukraine. Last week, Admiral Saritas, who's my favorite, brilliant, he had some promising things to say about Ukraine, but it's still waffling, you know. And here's Zelensky put out a statement today. He said, every day and every night we see new reports of explosions on territory that is temporarily taken by the occupiers. And he said temporarily, I like that. And I am asking now all people in Crimea, in other regions in the south of Ukraine, in occupied areas of Donbass and Kharkiv, to be very careful. I don't feel that I am the most excellent reporter on Ukraine, but I will keep dropping in information that I feel is helpful, and we'll keep going. I want to get a little deeper into it, but we will. All right. So I did runes again, and you know, I just want to say that I think Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida is maybe one of the worst people we've ever seen in politics. And I do not say that lightly. I just asked, will DeSantis be defeated in the midterms? And the answer, unfortunately, tragically, is not likely. So I got the warrior rune. This rune is associated with masculine energy, and he's putting that out there, right? Like the real masculine guy. To me, he's kind of like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I want to just kind of poke him. When this rune comes in response to a relationship issue, it indicates that the relationship is both timely and providential, and the relationship is with Florida. Well, it gets worse. Then I got the rune of harvest, which is harvest, and then I got the rune. I just was like, when I pulled it, I went, oh no, partnership. And partnership is just a positive rune, and it means a partnership is at hand. I think that Ron DeSantis, I don't think he can become president. I really don't, but I think he might run. He's a very dangerous guy. He's probably, except for Mastriano, who's not in power in Pennsylvania, but is trying to get in power, the Proud Boy, Mastriano, who wants to be governor. DeSantis is very much a fascist, an authoritarian. He's ruining the education system in Florida. He's ruining teachers' careers. It's really like taking on this sort of Gestapo. You can't be a student or a professor or a teacher without documenting your political assignation. That doesn't feel even legal to me constitutionally. So he makes me sick but he thinks he's going to be the next Trump. And I'm going to say the weirdest thing. I hope you understand it within context. On some level, all right, I'm going to repeat, on some level, Donald Trump has had some charisma. He's drawn people into his con because he's been doing that his whole life, all right? Ron DeSantis doesn't have charisma. He doesn't have that thing that draws people. He's very unattractive. He looks kind of doughy and unhealthy and pasty. He has no humor. I mean, even Donald Trump attempts to crack a joke. And I'm not defending Donald Trump. I think he's horrible, dangerous. But DeSantis is actually worse. So we've got to keep an eye on him. And then I've also had a very, very bad reaction to Carrie Lake in Arizona, who is running for governor. She used to be on TV as some kind of a TV host. She's kind of, if you don't hear her speak, she's kind of attractive with short brown hair. So I asked, will Carrie Lake win in Arizona, the midterms? Because I'm afraid of that too. So I got the rune of defense. There it is. There's defense. And it's about avertive powers. It says, we are tested, as we are tested, we fund the power to avert blockage and defeat. So she's averting blockage and defeat. There may be an obstacle in her path. There may be a delay. But I think the delay, because I think she's going to win, it's a horror story, will be the counting of the votes and questioning about were these machines messed with. I know that's usually the GOP that does that, but if and when Carrie Lake wins, I think that's going to be an issue, and that's the delay that the runes are talking about. Got the rune of defense. It discusses the difficulties that can arise at the beginning of new life. So new life for her would be the governorship. That's a strength for Carrie. Hate to say it. Then I got, hate to say it, folks, the rune of partnership. We don't want that rune in this situation, but we got it. And there's a partnership at hand. It's a positive rune. Then finally, initiation. Initiation. This is the mystery rune. There's something hidden. There's something secret. Maybe it's about her. This rune says it's beyond our frail and manipulative powers. It says powerful forces of change are here. There may be surprises, gains, rewards. Unfortunately, I think that would be for Carrie. The rune is concerned with the deepest layer of stratum of her being. That's a very toxic stratum. I mean, she's a very toxic lady. She's a nightmare. It may mean experiencing a death. It says, let it happen. Nothing but renewal of spirit is at stake. Our renewal or her renewal. But I pulled a clarifier, and as sometimes this will happen, I got defense again. So defense again of avertive powers, that there may be a little bit of blockage and defeat. She's running a very aggressive campaign. She's got a big, filthy mouth. This week, instead of talking about policy or why she should be the governor, she started talking about BDE, something probably she made up. Did you hear that? Boy, how do I do this without YouTube getting mad at me? Big D energy. And just use your imagination for the D, okay? Big D energy. And she says, oh, Trump has BDE, and DeSantis has BDE, but you know what? So does she. I hope you're laughing. These extreme candidates like her, like Mastriano, they're irrational. They're unqualified. The extreme is over the top in their desire to attract other extremists, and they're liars. I don't think they will outnumber the Democrats, however. Some are going to win, and some, like it looks like Val Demings is going to win, John Fetterman is going to win. There's more. There's going to be more Democrats. And Sarah Palin won the primary in Alaska, but her entire family on her husband's side supported her opponent vocally. Can you imagine? Her ex-in-laws, none of them supported her. That kind of gives you a peek into the nightmare that is Sarah Palin. Well, it gives me a peek. I asked the runes, will the threats decrease or increase? And I got the rune of disruption, which is a little bit like the tower. So, I think I was wrong. I don't think it's going to become the Civil War, but according to the runes, it says expect disruption. There are things beyond our control. It's the great awakener. It may take various forms. So it may not be physical disruption like we see groups out on the Capitol. But yes, it looks like it, and it makes me very sad. I think, though, it won't get completely out of hand. All right, that's my left ear. And then a good announcement is, which I talked about before, but it's now really happening, is that George Clooney's production company, Smokehouse Films, I did that again. I'm sorry about this. This is Smokehouse Films. They made a deal with HBO to air the documentary about the Ohio State rape scandal involving Jim Jordan. And so this documentary is going to come out on HBO. It's going to come out before the midterms. And it's about, the scandal involves Coach Richard Strauss and then assistant coach Jim Jordan, as you know, who is now a sitting member of Congress. The guy who doesn't wear a jacket and the guy who doesn't look like he uses Dial soap. The feature includes survivors of Richard Strauss, his abuse. They'll tell their stories in both interviews and through dramatic reenactments of the alleged abuse. And a woman named Eva Orner, who's won an Emmy and an Academy Award for a documentary called Taxi to the Dark Side. And so this is going to tell the story through the experiences of the alleged victims of Strauss. It's going to help bury Jim Jordan, who is also going to be in legal jeopardy. That's coming up. I believe he knows it. And, you know, Jim Jordan just accused a 10-year-old in Ohio of lying about her being raped and her pregnancy. He didn't apologize for it, but he had to take it down because it was wrong. It was false. He's really a pig. It's my favorite word lately. She's a pig, he's a pig. So I don't know who said this. It's not one of my quotes, but somebody said sociopathy has spread and caught on. Psychopathy is metastasizing in threats. And it really is. And all we can do is fight. So now we're winding down. I will be back with a Patreon tomorrow. I want to say that again. So Patreon, I have not forgotten you, and I have plans for us tomorrow. We're into good evidence territory now. This is getting a little bit longer. All right, I'm gonna kind of speed it up a little bit. I'm in a beautiful apartment building, but surrounded by lots of really neat homes. And down the street from me, when I'm driving. For years and years, I passed a nice corner home, beautiful corner home, with often a big blonde Labrador, like lying on the front lawn, chill. And and there's a stop sign there, and I was like, oh gosh, I really want to meet this lab. Never met the lab, but continued to see the lab over these years. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I was driving on a Sunday, and that house was having a big yard sale. So I ran my errand, I rushed back, parked the car, and I went, great, I get to like meet the owners of the house and meet the dog, who was just, sitting there, hanging. Big dog, older dog. And so I bought a shirt and walked around, and then I met the woman who was the owner of the house, and her husband was there. And I said, oh, I've always wanted to meet this dog. And she was telling another person there that the dog, whose name was Finn, Finn, had mouth cancer and only had days to live. Finn was not experiencing pain, it didn't look like it, and he was able to eat some wet food, so he wasn't starving. And they decided to have the yard sale anyway. Her husband was just weeping on and off all day. So kind of plugged into this woman. This was a hard day for them. And she tells me that they had called a service to come to the house, to help him pass over, and they canceled on her. And she said to me, she doesn't know me or anything, but she just looked at me and said, is he ready? Is he ready? Should we do it today? And I went, he's not ready today. He's just not ready today. But I think he's going to be ready by the end of the week. And I said, listen, I had a hospice service come to my house a year ago for my beautiful cat. And I can't tell you how fantastic this vet was, this place. And I gave her the phone number, the name of the veterinarian, and she just thanked me and thanked me. And I got to pet Finn, and I got to meet Finn in the last week of his life. It just tore me up. But I felt that I was placed there to help her put Finn with the right doctor. And for that, I felt really, really good, okay? And then one more thing that has to do with dogs is that I have nice neighbors all around me, but I haven't become like friends with them. So I've got some neighbors that park right near me in an SUV, a couple of girls, and I haven't really ever talked with them. But yesterday they were handling a little dog, like maybe the size of a beagle, and it was part beagle, I could tell. And I thought, I haven't seen that dog before, so I was taking my garbage. I came back and I said, did you rescue? And she said, oh yeah, this is Lulu. We rescued about 10 days ago. And I could tell Lulu was shy, so I just got down and said some nice things to her, but I didn't try to pet her. And I said, as she sees me, one of these days I'll pet her. And then, I don't know why, but I said, I have a tip for you that might help you. I have a wonderful cat, but has a little bit of behavioral problems. And I've discovered that CBD for cats and dogs is fantastic. And her eyes got really wide. She goes, really? I just got some. I'm not sure how to administer it. So I told her. And at the end of it, she says to me, what's your name? And I said, Carrie, I'm in number 7. And she said, oh, I'm Helen, I'm in number 17. And people, Helen was my mother's name. Helen's on the other side. And Helen loved dogs. She loved dogs and cats, but she was really attached to our beagle, Droops, and our beagle was very attached to her. So I knew that my mother had stopped in to visit me, and it was great evidence. And then here is a quote by Olivia Newton-John. Bless her. Rest in peace, beautiful lady. Once you face your fear, nothing is ever as hard as you think. Olivia Newton-John. And you know, many years ago I had surgery. It was like it wasn't like serious or life-threatening, but my parents came in to take care of me, and so Cedar Sinai Hospital, I have the procedure. I'm waking up in the, post procedure, lying there on the gurney, and I just kind of looked to my right, and there was a woman, pretty, lying on the gurney next to me, and she just looked me it was like this, and she just looked me straight in the eye and smiled and said, "Hi." And it was Olivia Newton-John. So I asked my doctor, and he said, "Oh, she's my client," and we just did a little surgery. So I just remembered that day. I mean, who does that? She just said, "Hi." I think she said, "How are you?" What a beautiful being. All right, make peace, make memories. My foot is better. I'm gonna mention something about it next time when I have more time, because there's a reason why you smash into something, and it's not because it's just an accident. So I'll share with you the next My Left Ear. But for now, make peace, make memories. I'll see you soon. Thanks for your patience, and we persevere, people. That's what we do. Okay, bye-bye.